Are you a big fan of alien type movies, science fiction, and all?
Well, I mean, only good ones. There's only a handful out there that you can really, name off, kind of like your good friends, So like, Close Encounters, ET, there's Alien. There's only a few, but like I really love that genre, but like it really is so hard to do well. It's like probably the hardest one out there, I think.
Yeah, and especially with this movie because I'm counting this as a psychological thriller
Yes.
more than an alien film because it really does delve into kind of a psychosis.
Yeah, no, there is a sci-fi element, and like people always like compare like, Back to the Future to being a sci-fi film, but I'm like, really, there's like four or five lightning shots in the movie. There's not a lot of sci-fi elements to it. It's more of a human story, There's time travel, but like in this film, Roswell Delirium, it's like, there is a alien aspect to it, but really it is a mother-daughter story and a true like metaphor for like mental illness. It's really about that and what really happens with radiation poisoning, and then just the mentally ill factor that comes with everything, and just trying to protect your child. Really is all about that.
How did this idea come about? You're the writer as well.
Yes, I am the writer. I did a documentary years ago called Before I Die about kids with cancer doing their bucket list. And one kid had cancer 9 times, and they called him the cancer fighting ninja.
Wow.
And his mom, at one point they were doing his bucket list, and his mom took him to like this place in Colorado to go skiing, and he collapsed in the snow. And she took him to the hospital right away, and he just was not doing very well. And she said, "If you want to go, you can go."
Mm.
Um, and like, for me, I was like, wow, it's so powerful. It's like,
Yeah.
she just, breaks your heart. So I thought this mother did everything she could to save her child and it wasn't enough, And I'm like, well, what if there was a place that you could take your child to give to the aliens to heal them?
Mm.
And that's kind of like, and I was like, just a crazy idea. And then, I wrote a short film in 2019, and then we were going to shoot it in 2020 in March. And then all of a sudden we couldn't. So I wrote into a feature. I spent 2 years writing the film and extending that short film.
This uh, this premise reminds me. It's not the same premise, obviously, and this is a
Sure.
much deeper thing. But it reminds me of a great old Outer Limits episode where the
Hmm.
aliens came and they were collecting children that were handicapped and had cancer, and
Wow.
they were going to take them and heal them. It's just a beautiful, beautiful story, and I'm glad you're doing it this way because it takes away from the aliens being monsters and this and that. It just gives us something new uh,
Right.
as an audience.
Yeah, and it's like I think, it's funny because when we launched the trailer last year, you get all these crazy comments, some are good, some are bad, and some people just want to complain, oh, here we go again with aliens, and it's really it's like, what if they were here, what if they've been here? And it's like I think aliens get a bad rap in movies because they're always the monsters and the villains, but what if, in this movie they can actually do the magic that hasn't been done, and just have healing powers because obviously they're from outer space. They are probably more intelligent than we are, so they have more ability to fix and solve anything. So,
Is there a little bit of consternation on your part when you're giving direction to Anthony Michael Hall or Dee Wallace?
uh a little, like I swear, like I got lucky with this film because they're my idols, and
Mm.
I saw like Dee Wallace and ET before we filmed with her, like a week before we filmed, and she is like the heart and soul of that movie, and I've never seen anyone work so hard in my entire life. She's in her 70s, and every take that she did, like she was in character, and even when she was off camera, she gave the same performance for her other actors because she knew they needed that for to deliver their scenes. I mean, there is no one like her in the world. So, I mean, it's yeah, I love them to death.
Wow, what an interesting portrayal. Although she's not in the movie very much,
No.
she's in the movie all the time.
She's kind of always in the movie,
Yeah,
because even though she's not always there, like there's kind of a presence of her, and kind of like the whole idea about space rock, this whole
yeah.
concept of bringing your sick loved ones to that place to give them to the aliens. And I tell you, it's like people have really responded to her scenes. I mean, they are just blown away by her performance. And it's like I think she's already won like 5 awards in the film festivals based on, her that small couple cameos that she has. I mean, it's so powerful and it resonates within so many people.
Yeah. And Anthony Michael Hall, one of my favorite guys in person and on the screen, just a dynamite actor, but also very, very in touch with himself as an actor.
Yeah, no, and the beauty of Michael was, we kind of met and at the smokehouse and then kind of made like a gentleman's contract deal, a handshake deal, like the old school way. And we were still working out his contract and we had a table read with all the younger actors in the movie and we hadn't had his contract signed yet. And he goes to me, he's like, "Well, I'm gonna come on the Zoom and I'm gonna read the part anyways because I know it's gonna happen. So I'm not worried about the contract, but I want to be there for the kids."
Wow.
So that
Yeah.
was pretty important to me, and they were all blown away. So,
Okay, I'm glad you brought up the smokehouse because that's one of my favorite places in Burbank to go. It's been there for like 90 years.
oh yeah, I was just there the other night. Yeah.
Wow, and I didn't get an invite. I'm just upset.
Well, next time I'll let you know. I was there doing a radio show, and it's like right around the corner, so I'm like, I have to go and have a drink at the bar. So,
Yeah, I'll tell you what a great place to make a deal.
yep, it is. I've
Uh,
done 2 deals there. I also did a deal with the composer Troy Van Leeuwen from the Queens of the Stone Age. We did a deal there too. We met for dinner with me and my other producer Glenn, and we just talked, and then kind of worked out like a little mini deal until we got to the bigger deal. And I was like, that seems to be the magical place to make things happen.
it sure is. And let's talk about your score because wow, it's creepy great.
Thank you. He, it's funny because, we were probably on one of our last passes of the edit before like Troy came on. And, he's like, "Well, I better get to work. I want to see what you have done, whatever you have, rough cuts, whatever, send me everything." And I did. And then he's like, "So what are you thinking for music?" And I sent him like all these temporary tracks, like from Chernobyl, Back
Mhm.
to the Future, Close Encounters and like Lost and all these, and he's like, "Wow, you have really big ambitions with this, score. That's like, a symphony or whatever." And I'm like, "Well, maybe not so much, but that like it should be like fun at times with the 80s section, and then there should be like some creepiness and then just some heartbreaking strings." And I mean, he did is a phenomenal job, and that's his first time ever doing a score, and I'm just so proud of it. Yeah, he just did
Wow.
such a great job with it.
I think honestly, you should think about releasing the score on a separate, kind of track.
Well, that's what we talked about because, I said, this score is kind of yours. You put it together and he had a lot of favors, people helping him out with the music. And, it's funny because I went to go see him in concert the other month and he's just on stage at the Forum rocking out, but then here he does all these like tender, like kind of like softer songs in the film. And I told him, I said, it's going to be a score that I think it's going to be one that people are going to demand to have because it's so good. And
Yeah.
he just won like best score like 2 weeks ago at another film festival. It's like everyone's loves the music because it fits every scene where it's at. It just fits so well.
Yeah, and you're absolutely right. I mean, there's scores that, kind of cover the movie, but there's scores
Right.
that highlight the movie. And this is one of those that does exactly what a score should be. Unless you're really listening to it, it's
Right.
it's feeding your brain, but you're not listening to the music. You're watching, the action.
Right. Even like there's some scenes in the film that are like towards the second half with like with Mayday and Wendy, the mother and daughter, and things start to kind of decay in the story. And I watched the takes with just sound effects, and then no dialogue, and then I watched it with dialogue and sound effects, and then I just watched it with music just to see how everything was fitting. And just with the music alone, you don't even need words. I mean, it was
Yeah.
just the music just made you feel a certain way automatically with the Troy score. It's fantastic.
What do you think audiences are going to take away from watching it?
Well, the beauty, I think they're at first, I think they're gonna be like thinking this film is all nostalgia, and they're gonna there's gonna be some light humor and some laughs and some fun and references back to the 80s.
Mhm.
And I think they're gonna just kind of be unexpected of the journey that happens with the roller coaster ride where, the second half of the film it gets so emotional and then things really turn, that humor is lost and it goes into like pain and you just to see the characters go through so much. So I think they're gonna enjoy the ride because you can't really cry for a character unless you can laugh with them, you know. So I think that's the beauty of this film is like you get to laugh a little bit and then you get to really just watch the heart, pain, suffering happen. So
I think that approach is really well because what you're doing is you're driving the big van up to the audience with the candy canes on and saying, "Come on in."
yep.
And then it's not what people think it is. And I love that change in the movie because you know exactly where that movie turns around on you, and you just unexpectedly now drawn in.
Yeah, and that's the thing, in writing it because you write on the paper and you do all these like scenes, out of order, and then in the edit you get to really kind of like fine tune everything, and then people who watched it, at the premiere, it's like they were kind of like, I didn't see that happening, but I liked the what you did, and I'm like, well, there's hints all along the way, but you just have to pay attention, and I don't like to spoon feed people. I like to actually let them embrace it and enjoy it and then look for things and maybe watch it a second time and say, oh, there's that hint, there's a hint there, kind of like the Kubrick way of filmmaking.
Well, what a tip of the hat to Stanley. Just a great, a nice film, and I think people are going to get behind it. I mean, we're back to those incredibly intelligent thrillers that we saw in the 60s and 70s, where people weren't spoon fed, as you say. Here's the foreshadow,
Sure.
here's the ending. You have to go along with the characters on this journey to get out of it what you as the director put in for us to find.
Oh yeah, and it's like there's things along the way that I want people to kind of feel and experience. And it's like I was talking the other day to Kylie, who plays like
Mhm.
the younger version of Mayday in the movie, and I told her, because she was like so excited about the film, and we're screening the festivals, and we're talking about getting it released with distribution, and I said, there's really no one out there who could have done what I put you through. I had her hanging high up in the air on these wires, made her wear ball caps, put her in this hot garage to film these ham radio scenes in August, I mean, I put her through a lot, and she never complained one time, and it's like, and she was only 13 we made the movie, and like I don't know many like teenagers who could have gone through all that stuff and not been like, I don't want to do it, but she was in there every day, and it's
Like
like,
an athlete, just
yeah, like a really like an athlete, just preparing and then, obviously being pretty worn out afterwards and ready to nap. But yeah, she was in there all the time.
so I know this is going to sound like a silly question to you, but were you a fan of Cheers? Because
It's funny, in the pandemic, I started like rewatching all these old TV shows. So I really started looking for character names and stuff. So, the whole movie is really a cry for help. So that's why her name is Mayday in the movie. And then, Ted Danson is Mayday Malone. It just happened to work out that way. So I chose, Malone for her last name. And then I was listening to a lot of Bruce Springsteen at the time. And then in the 80s, he's always talking to Wendy in his music. Hey, Wendy, together we can go through the madness. And then that's the mom's name in the movie. So all these little 80s things
what a
came
great
back.
cookie to leave the audience, though.
Oh
That's
yeah.
lovely, lovely.
There's Easter eggs everywhere. I mean, there's in the opening sequence in the third shot, there's a ham radio and it says 8675309 if you pay attention.
That was my phone number, by the way.
I bet it was, yeah.
Wow. Terrific meeting you, Rick. Such a great little film, and all the best. And I want to talk with you on the next one.
Yeah, no, absolutely. I'd be looking forward to that for sure. So,
All right. Well, you take care. Have a lovely day.
all right, thanks, Tony. Appreciate it.
Bye bye.